A lot of viewers who engage my work are purebred aviation enthusiasts, and over time, I've come to meet some people who absolutely love my work, some people who dislike the very fiber of my being, and some people who perhaps enjoy my content a little too much. And I'll do just about anything to keep my viewers engaged, even if it meant booking a flight from the wrong German airport. Now, for some context, I started my day in Hanover and realized very quickly that I was driving 3 hours away from Amsterdam to get on a 1-hour flight to Amsterdam. Now, I'm sure lots of Aussie tourists get up to a lot of stupid things in Europe, and this definitely wasn't the stupidest thing I myself did in Europe, but hey, it's all for the experience. And I'll admit, I could have circumvented this whole thing if I had just looked at a map, but my mission was to showcase KLM to you, and apparently, regardless of how impractical it was for me to do that, I was willing to inconvenience just about anyone to make that happen. So Leonard, if you're watching this, danke, dass du mich gefahren hast. And to all my viewers, here is the byproduct of my stupidity. KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, one of the world's oldest and most iconic carriers, famous for its vibrant blue livery and Dutch charm. But does this historic airline live up to its legacy in today's competitive skies? From the comfort of its cabins to the quality of its meals and service, we'll uncover the highs and lows of flying KLM. Will it be a journey to remember or just another flight? Sit back, relax, and join me as we put KLM to the test. Good morning everyone, and welcome to Frankfurt International Airport. By passenger volume, Frankfurt Airport is Germany's busiest airport. It opened for the first time in 1936 as Rhein-Main Airport. Initially, it served military and civilian flights, but it expanded post-World War II under US control. Now, by the 1970s, it had already emerged as a global aviation leader, pioneering air cargo operations. Today, it connects over 300 destinations around the globe and, in my opinion, is a fairly efficient airport to get through. Technically, for KLM 1820, the check-in counter hadn't opened quite as yet. However, since the line wasn't actually that busy, they were kind of just accepting anyone for check-in. This is also compounded by the fact that KLM and Air France actually share the same check-in counter, which means there's always a flight that needs to be looked after. Now, standing in line, I saw the check-in agent having an absolute meltdown at a passenger who couldn't grasp the fact that he had missed his flight. Neither of them were having a particularly good day, and when I approached her, she was still visibly infuriated. I handed her my passport, and while she was entering the details, she leaned into her colleague and said, quote-unquote, "One passenger is irritating the hell out of me." She then seemed to notice my Australian passport and quickly switched to German, probably hoping that I wouldn't understand, further telling her colleague that the passenger only spoke Arabic and French and didn't speak any English or German. Now, her colleague gave her a somewhat dismissive laugh, and I continued to observe this agent finish up my bag drop, and she hastily handed my passport and boarding pass back to me. Now, I always thought that when I flew within Europe, it didn't necessitate immigration checks, but I was wrong. Well, somewhat. Our passports were checked by not immigration but by the police. After this, they sat us down in an absolutely scorching hot room. Mind you, we were just days away from winter. For this particular Embraer, they used a staircase to board us, so they ushered us down the stairs out of the holding room and then sat us on the bus for like 20 minutes. Now, the KLM City Hopper is the regional wing of KLM. Today's flight is operated by Papa Hotel-Echo Zulu Foxtrot. This is a 15.3-year-old Embraer 190. It's a typical regional twin-engine jet, but it features CF34-10E engines, achieving a cruising speed of about 850 km per hour. Now, with a capacity of 100 passengers split across a 2-2 configuration, it balances comfort and performance for short to medium-haul flights. Now, contrary to my whole check-in experience, I actually received a fantastic welcome from the crew on today's flight, who were very attentive and friendly. Welcome to seat 18 Alpha. This seat features decent legroom for the duration of the flight, a tray table and a USB charging port. All decent offerings if you ask me, but on the flip end of the spectrum there is no adjustable headrest, but I mean that's technically fine. Even though, realistically speaking, a cursory search showed me that as of this date, the E190 flies only about as far as Lisbon, which is just under 3 hours, so I'd say these dimensions are doable.
Ask you to take the seat that's assigned on your boarding card due to the weight and balance. So it's very important to take the seat that's assigned on your boarding.
Now, the KLM City Hopper itself was established in 1991 and was born purely out of the merger between NLM City Hopper and Netherlines. Netherlines was actually a subsidiary of the Royal Ned Lloyd Group, but then they merged largely to create a better network and also to establish their head office in Amsterdam. In the grand scheme of things, this was important because KLM already had an established network all over the world, so it made sense that all of these City Hopper routes brought in that feeder traffic that KLM wanted. And you can see those effects today, where we had many passengers join the flight to connect onwards mainly to the US and a few to Asia. Now, the crew didn't really waste any time in getting the service going. They were on their feet the second the seatbelt sign was switched off, and they went through the cabin offering these snacks to everybody. For today's refreshment, we have mini cheddars, which are quote-unquote baked with real cheese. I mean, I'd certainly hope so, given that the package literally says mini cheddars. It was okay, I mean, it was nothing super exceptional. But that being said, it is quite praiseworthy that they served us anything at all, given that most European airlines have the tendency to get away with the bare minimum or not offering anything at all. I may or may not be dropping tacit hints at a certain Helsinki-based carrier, but that's for another time in another video. Now, in terms of customer service on today's flight, all the staff had smiles on their faces and a far cry from their ground colleagues at Frankfurt. Also, there was constant, and I mean incessant, call bell rings right before takeoff, and I observed the crew come down the aisle and politely tend to them without any fuss and patiently hear them out. Now, in my opinion, the KLM City Hopper is a useful connection to KLM, but it still has a couple of issues. First, environmental activists argue that a lot of the City Hopper routes are flying unnecessary connections, given some of these routes can easily be accessed by a rail network. One such example is the Amsterdam to Brussels flight, a route with multiple high-speed rail alternatives. However, the airline has acknowledged this with multiple plans to combat this. Another problem is that the City Hopper model itself relies heavily on the E190 variant, and for instance, in October 2024, a month before this flight departed, technical issues led to a lot of these aircraft being grounded and stowed. Now, true to the first controversy that we discussed, it was already time to land in Amsterdam, which means that it's time for me to let you enjoy the scenic views upon our arrival, and I'll revert to you when we're on the ground. Remember, if you're new to my channel, subscribe to my channel on YouTube and follow my work on TikTok and Instagram. All of these avenues are absolutely free of charge. This is the best and only way to support my content. You can also comment and share this video with your friends, family, nearest and dearest. All of the details that are relevant to this flight, including how much I paid for it and the soundtracks that I use in this video, are available in the description down below. As always, stay tuned for the final outcome.
be careful as items may have moved during flight and could fall out. We wish you a pleasant stay, a good hour journey, or maybe a...
So where did KLM do well today? Firstly, complimentary snacks. Good on you, KLM. I think you should credit your European counterparts for setting the bar so low, but I still was grateful for a complimentary snack. Second, I like the fact that the cabin was kept clean and tidy. Finally, really polite crew. Even when I got off the flight and asked for a bottle of water, she gave me 2 bottles and said, "Here you go, have 2, with such a genuinely warm smile. On the flip end of the spectrum, the ground staff at Frankfurt venting about other passengers in front of me isn't a very professional look, and swapping between English and German hoping that I wouldn't understand is not as smart as you think it is. All in all, here is the final score for today's flight. That is all for now. I'll see you in another video. Have a very pleasant day and safe travels wherever you're headed to. And if you're one of my German followers tuning in today, vielen Dank, dass Sie sich mein Video angesehen haben.